Hey guys, this is MusicTechHelpGuy, and welcome to part 5 of my Logic Pro 10 201 course. In this video, I'm going to track some scratch vocals just to serve as a placeholder until my singer comes in the studio to record. This will help her to learn the vocal melody, and it'll also serve as an arrangement placeholder for me so that I can fully flesh out the arrangement by the time she comes and tracks the real vocal parts. So since the last video, I duplicated the original drum pattern and chord progression, and then I duplicated the second idea, and then I pushed them together all as one unit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag over all of these and press Command R one more time. This is essentially going to be the intro. This is going to be the first verse. This will be the the first chorus, and this will be the second verse. What I am going to do is I'm going to pull this back, because the chorus actually goes for 12 bars. So now I have 6 iterations of this progression, or 3 iterations of the whole idea. So that's 12 total bars there. I've also added a 4 on the floor kick just for the verse, again, just a placeholder. And there you go, real simple, just a kick to keep me in time while I sing. I have the first verse and chorus lyrics written. I don't have the second verse written yet, but I'll do that off screen. Now, keep in mind again that what I'm doing right now is just creating a rough, bare bones sketch of the song. This is nothing like what the final product will sound like, but if you write your song first, your lyrics, your vocal melody, your chords, it helps so that you can focus on the production and arrangement and synthesis and sound design of the project later, and you don't have to worry about what chord am I going to use, what vocal melody am I going to use. That's all already created, so you can go back and make the instrumental sound great and then bring the vocalist in to record for real. Now, I am going to add some markers just so I kind of can see where I'm at. So I'm going to start at the beginning here. I'm going to press G to pull down my global tracks, or you can click here to do that. I'm not going to use the arrangement markers. I'm just going to use the regular markers, and I'll call this first one just intro, and then I'll tab over to where the first verse is going to be. I'll call this verse 1, and then I'll tab over again. This will be chorus, and then I'll tab over again, and I'll call this verse 2. Notice that I'm not creating a chorus 2 yet, because I don't really know how I'm going to flesh out the arrangement after this. I may have a bridge section, I may have an instrumental break, I may have a chorus, then an instrumental break, then another chorus. I don't know. All I do know is that the chorus is going to be the same every single time through. One thing that may change is I may extend the length of the chorus, but in terms of vocal melody, it'll remain the same. And one thing also to keep in mind is her voice is a lot higher than mine. So E flat minor will work just fine for her, but it's not going to work well for me. I'm just going to select my entire synth layer track here. And remember, this is a whole folder. This is a whole summing stack. And I'm going to select that, go to my region parameters up here, go to transpose. And if you click here, you can transpose this up or down by any number of octaves, but you can actually just double click and type in any positive or negative semitone value you like. So transposing this down by 4 semitones is going to take this from E flat minor down to B minor, which is going to be much more manageable for my voice. Now, I realize that we're going to shift this back up later, and I don't want her to learn the song in the wrong key. I want her to learn it in E flat. Later on down the road, once we get through some of the arrangement, I'll show you how you can pitch shift your voice back up to the correct key so that she can use it as a reference. It's going to sound awful. It's going to sound like a chipmunk, but that's not the point. The point is that she can hear what the vocal melody sounds like, even if it sounds weird, and it's in the actual key that she's going to be singing in. Okay, so let's set up for recording here. Just going to create an audio track, and I'll make this go to input 1 because that's where my microphone is connected to. Pull this up to the top, and I'll just call this scratch vocal, and make sure that it's a mono track. And then again, here you can check and you can select your input. So if you have your microphone connected to a different input, you can choose that there. And if I input monitor here, I'm going to mute this. We should see my voice pick up. There we go. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. Now it's probably a little high for singing. I've got it set for voiceovers. So off screen, I'm going to make a few adjustments to my preamp, and then I'll come back and I'll give this a shot.
Got kids with no shelter, lies from our leaders, pain from the sky to the sea. Death with no freedom, hearts with no heroes. Baby, it's just you and me. Please tell me how, when all the world is lost, we're losing ground.
All right, so that was kind of rough. It was just the first take. It's my first time singing for the morning. So I'm just going to start the playhead right at the beginning here, and I'm going to just hit R again to record right over it, and I'm going to create a take folder. And I'm not going to go too crazy editing my different takes, but I do want something that sounds decent.
Kids with no shelter, lies from our leaders, pain from the sky to the sea. Death with no freedom, hearts with no heroes. Baby, it's just you and me. Please tell me how, when all the world is lost, we're losing ground. There's no way out. There's no way back to salvation. They're losing ground. Please tell me how, when all the world is lost, we're losing ground.
Okay, so when you record overlapping recordings in Logic, what this does is it creates take folders like this. So here's take 1, here's take 2, and then the top track shows you the take that's actually being used, and it's number 2. Now, if this doesn't happen, what you can do is you can go up to Logic Pro Preferences, Recording, and then where it says Overlapping Recordings, you can choose Create Take Folder here for the cycle off and cycle on options. Basically, this means when you have cycle mode off, it'll create a take folder with overlapping recordings, and cycle on, it'll also create a take folder. That's usually the way I keep it. So the first section's quite a bit quieter, and because it's down an octave, and actually that's kind of low for me. And then later on, it's pretty steady in terms of volume. Let's add some EQ and compression to this just to maybe pull it up a bit, but I may have to play around with the actual clip or region gain here. So let's add some EQ and just try to beef this up a bit. So just channel EQ. I'm going to do what I typically do. I'm just going to create a sibilance boost and then like a clarity boost around 2K. Then I'll scoop out the low end with the filter and then pull up the lows a bit. So let's see what that sounds like.
Tell me that you see it. Can you feel it? Can you hear it call your name? It's a broken world alone.
And then here.
We got kids with no shelter, lies from our leaders, pain from the sky to the sea.
Yeah, good enough for a scratch vocal. Let's add some compression. Let's go under Dynamics, Compressor. I typically use the opto circuit for vocals, because it just gives you the smoothest vocal sound. I'm going to pull this down quite a bit, pull the threshold down quite a bit, pull the ratio up quite a bit as well. We'll talk more about the details of compression later, But for now, I'm just going to play around with the threshold and ratio. Pull this down, pull this up so you get heavier compression. I'm going to turn the makeup gain off, or the auto gain off, and set the makeup gain to 0. And let's see what this does to the vocal here.
We got kids with no shelter, lies from our leaders, pain from the sky to the sea. Death with no freedom, hearts with no heroes, baby, it's just you and me.
And then at the intro here.
Tell me that you see it, can you feel it, can you hear it call your name? It's a broken world alone. We got kids with no shelter, lies from our leaders, pain from the sky to the sea. Death with no freedom, hearts with no heroes, baby, it's just you and me. Please tell me how, when all the world is lost, we're losing ground.
Now that section right there, I'm not a big fan of this section. So what you can do with your take folders is you can use this function called quick swipe comping. Let me turn my snap off. And you can drag over parts of the unused take and actually punch them up into the used take. So right now, this is jumping from take 2 down to take 1 and then back up to take 2 again.
Please tell me how, when all the world is lost.
And you can even do it in between a phrase, like that initial high note was kind of raspy there.
When all the world is lost, we're losing ground.
And one of these, I completely messed up the lyrics. I think it's over here.
There's no way out. There's no way back to salvation. They're losing.
Yeah, right there. I said they're losing ground. Let's drag over this one.
Back to salvation. We're losing ground. Please tell me how, when all the world is lost, we're losing ground.
Try this one instead.
Lost, we're losing ground.
Cool. So now that I've gone through and kind of comped the vocals a little bit, again, it's a scratch vocal. I don't want to go crazy with it. You can double click on this to collapse it. You can keep it just like this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the little A right here. And I'm going to go down to flatten and merge. And this will flatten all of those edits, add crossfades, and merge them all together into a new region. And the reason why I want to do that is I want this first section to be a little louder. So I'm going to use my scissors tool and just cut this from the rest of the track, from the rest of the region. Click on that, go over to your region parameters, and I'm going to pull the gain up quite a bit. Let's add like 6 dB of gain. Let's see what that sounds like now.
Tell me that you see it, can you feel it, can you hear it call your name? It's a broken world alone. We got kids with no shelter, lies from our leaders.
So it's a little bit more normalized to the rest of the track. So I am going to add a little reverb. I'm going to do it the wrong way to start. I'm actually just going to add it right on the track, which again, if you know how to properly use effects sends, you know that that's the incorrect way to do it. But for a scratch track, I don't think it's really going to matter. Let's try the vocal hull. Pull the dry up to 100%, and then we'll play around with the wet signal.
Pain from the sky to the sea. Death with no freedom, hearts with no heroes. Baby, it's just you and me.
Now I'm pretty pitchy. I really don't want to go through with flex pitch on a scratch vocal that's just going to get trashed later on anyway. So what I'll do to sort of hide some of my tuning inconsistencies is I'll add a chorus plugin before the chroma verb. So if you hover in between two plugins, you can add a plugin that way. I'll go down to modulation, and let's use the ensemble plugin. I'll use the mono to stereo conversion, and I'll go to symphonic 5 voice, And at 100% mix, it's going to sound real chorusy.
We got kids with no shelter, lies from our leaders, pain from the sky to the sea. Death with no freedom, hearts with no heroes, baby, it's just you and me.
So I bumped up the number of voices to 8 to make it even thicker sounding, and then I blended in the chorus with the dry signal by adjusting the output mix here. So that sounds a bit better. Let's listen to the last part of the chorus here.
There's no way out, there's no way back to salvation, we're losing ground. Please tell me how, when all the world is lost, we're losing ground. Please tell me how, when all the world is lost, we're losing ground.
So off screen, I'll write some lyrics for the second verse and I'll record those in, and you'll see those in the next video. So that's it for this video. If you liked the video, please leave it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to see more content like this. You can also check me out on social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Patreon. As always, thanks for the support and thanks for watching.